In an ever-evolving digital landscape, for your business to thrive, you must adapt or die. Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the podcast helping you harness the power of AI and marketing tools to revitalize and grow your business. And now here's your host, marketing expert and author of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI, Emmanuel Rose.
Welcome to this episode of Marketing in the Age of AI, coming to you from the Great Plains of Saskatchewan, Canada, in the mobile studio known as the Silver Bullet. Today, we are going to dig into what I have found to be the most essential piece of content marketing in this current time, which is podcasting and telling stories, talking about your favorite clients, your favorite staff, your new products, what your impressions are of trends in the industry. And I get to have on the show Josh Troche, who has over 20 years of diverse experience in sales, technical assistance, and video production. Josh has established himself as a key player in the podcasting landscape as the founder of Pedal Stomper Productions. He has helped numerous businesses amplify their reach through effective podcast strategies. Josh, welcome to the mobile podcast studio called the Silver Bullet.
I am absolutely jealous of the mobile studio. I really am. Although I'm it's not windy in my studio, so I'm good there.
Yeah, well, that's the challenge. As I was telling you before the show, I've done a few of them. I've been able to be outside, and it's been nice and calm. It looks rugged. This looks a little more like a homeless guy trying to get a job, but we're gonna roll with it.
I love it. Absolutely love it.
Well, Josh, tell me about how Pedal Stompers came into being and about what time this was.
So it's funny. I've always had a love for video. I've, like most video creators, I have videos on YouTube that are 15, 18 years old that are thoroughly embarrassing. But I was working at a semi-truck dealership doing some of their marketing and sales. And I started a YouTube channel. And from that, I really found how the video could play into marketing. And that was probably 2016, 2017. 2018, I said, let's make a business of this. So it started as a side hustle for me, and I thoroughly enjoyed that piece. And what really got me into podcasting was I had just done a video for a political candidate, and the guy that was the campaign manager says, "Hey, look, someone else that I've worked with, they've got a podcast and they're looking for someone to edit it." He's like, "Do you edit podcasts?" And I'm like, "Is there a check attached to it?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Great, we edit podcasts." So that's really how I got into it. And I mean, from moment one, I loved the conversations that host was having. And I haven't looked back. So we still have a video component, but podcast is a big part of our focus in the business.
Yeah, and I think over time, the term podcast has kind of taken on a much broader meaning, hasn't it?
It truly has, because it used to not be so video centric, but it's from a marketing, from just a regular consumer standpoint, they're still very audio centric, but from a marketing standpoint, they have become very video centric.
Yeah, what are some of the changes that you've seen over the course of the Pedal Stompers?
It's really been how people have perceived the podcast and how they've seen it as a marketing tool. So many people have started out with podcasting as like, look, I just want to have conversations so I can talk to people. There's a lot of people that want to have a podcast, and I know we've tuned into them, where they just want to scream from the rooftop. They just want to be heard, and or at least they just want to talk. Maybe that's the right way to put it. It's developed over the past couple of years into something that's really become a content generation engine. Instead of just like, hey, I have a podcast, now there's all sorts of ways to parse out clips. It's great to turn it into a blog. You can turn it into an email. You can do, once you've had these conversations, it's easy to chunk them out into other ways that really broaden that reach overall, as long as you're intentional about it.
Yeah, I like that. Talk to me a little bit about the strategy that you help your clients with in order to get guests on, and what type of guests you encourage people to have.
It's interesting. It depends on the client. And we've got some where we tell them, look, just talk yourself. There's quite a few of them where like, you're an expert at this. Tell people what's going on, speak about this. And those we generally keep shorter because we want, I mean, we want to keep it entertaining too. I mean, that's part of a podcast should be the entertainment value. If I'm literally inserting someone in my ears, they should entertain me. When we have people that are having guests on, we're talking about being very intentional about, does this guest fit your overall strategy? I see a lot of people that are just inviting like random people on. They're like, I need a guest. Who am I going to find? And they pick someone that isn't within their strategy. It's not within their niche. It's not even someone that's really that would appeal to their target audience. We get so many people that when they start a podcast, they're like, I want to talk to everyone. And in marketing, we all know that, I mean, if you talk to everyone, you talk to no one. I teach a podcast in class. And one of the things that I tell people, if you go into a room of 100 people and just start talking, one or two people are going to look at you for 2 or 3 seconds like there's a crazy person over there talking. If you have a great conversation that is intended for one person, if you and I standing eye to eye have this great conversation with each other people that the conversation isn't intended for are going to start to listen. They're going to start to find this interesting. So it's making sure, do you have a guest that fits with your target audience, that can appeal to your target audience?
Yeah, it's funny how fundamental that is, but also how big of a secret that is, right?
Oh, it's so easy to lose track of because so many of us say we want a podcast, and we don't have the same strategy guide for the podcast that we do for all the rest of our marketing.
Right. Yeah. What about for those people who are like subject matter experts, but are reticent or too shy to be on camera, to do interviews, to be on a podcast? What do you got for those people?
And it's just people exactly like us, right? Too shy to be on camera. Don't ever want to speak to anyone.
Well, I have a face for radio, so I had to train myself to be on video.
The thing that I always tell people, especially at first, is no one cares. Your mom's going to watch it, and that's going to be about it, and she's still going to love you no matter what anyways. With that, when it comes to the shyness in that, I understand it. And there are some people that have approached me that I recommend not do a podcast. There is a certain amount of charisma that you should naturally have. If you can hold a great conversation in a group of people, and if you can turn yourself into that pivot point, so to say, that lead person, that by golly, you're a great podcast person. If you sit in the corner and kind of wallflower, maybe it's not the thing. I've had podcast hosts where I sit behind the engineering desk over there and I'm like, oh, this is painful. But for most people, if you can be even remotely interesting, just push record. Like everything else, I mean, whatever you're an expert in, you did not start out as an expert in that thing. So, I mean, you're going to get there if you do it. You have to put in the reps, push record, post it. People are going to start to find it, and you'll start to get better at it.
Yeah, I like that. I guess my experience and my premise now is that podcasting is really the hub of all content marketing in this time, especially as AI has created 1,000 times more terrible marketing that we all are wading through. So the authentic conversation and brand voice and executive voice and all those things happens in the podcast, and and then ripples out from there. It's counterpoint. What's your experience with like now?
It very much is, because, and I mean, I've even seen some of the people like using AI avatars to do podcasts, and they're still just not quite there yet. The one thing that I always like, especially as I talk to like high level marketing managers and CEOs, we've talked with CEOs about doing internal podcasts because How many people work at a large company? If you work at a Fortune 500 company, do you know what your CEO sounds like? Most people are probably going to say no. If the CEO sends out a monthly 3 to 5 minute podcast, holy cow, does that create that know, like, and trust the same way? I mean, us as marketers, that's what we're looking to build. We're looking to build that know, like, and trust. If a CEO can do that, I mean, there's so many ways that it can do that on this personal level. Like I said, it like as I look at like you on the video here right now, you've got earbuds in. You have literally inserted me in your ears. It doesn't get much more know, like, and trust than that.
For sure. Yeah. Oh, I love that concept too. And I think more companies should do that. Any company that has multiple locations or a CEO that hasn't met everybody, right, should be doing an internal podcast.
Yeah, I get I've worked with the couple that we've worked with on this on. They're like, "Hey, CEO thinks it's a great idea. He's going to do a quarterly podcast that's 45 minutes." And I'm like, "No one cares. No."
Yeah, not for
Like,
45 minutes.
right. I'm like, people want to hear from him for 3 to 5 minutes. They know he's important. He doesn't need to tell people that he's important. And
Right.
what I always tell people, the basis of this is you've got 3 to 5 minutes to say, hey, here's what we're looking at. Here's what we're working on. And here's what we just completed. Those 3 things. I said 3 to 5 minutes, those 3 things every month in people's inbox. They can click on it. They can listen to it. Done.
Yeah.
Get out of there.
Plus the added value of the marketing department being able to use that for other pieces of content.
100%. I mean, the CEO is, I mean, let's face it, whether you want to be or not, you're the spokesperson for the company. You're the head of the company. Lead it.
Yeah, I love it. Well, talk to me a little bit about what AI tools you found that you're using in your own personal production, Josh.
We're using a ton of them, and it's been so interesting how it has been able to accelerate what we're able to do and accomplish. The basics, I mean, we're using, like, for clips, we're using Riverside has a good setup for clips. We record in Riverside studio if we're outside of the studio. If we're going remote like you and I are today, we'll use Riverside for that. We also use Opus Clip. Once again, it's looking at the transcript, going through, it'll cut up all the clips for us. And I mean, we do a little bit of polish to it and out the door it goes. When it comes to stuff like transcription tools, I remember when transcription tools were just awful. And you're like, why even run this?
Why waste it?
Right. Why waste the electrons? Now they're very good. I mean, we still have some, like I have a host whose name's Tunde Angelana. It doesn't get that right. But so we've got some macros in to go in and correct that. But overall, like transcription tools that we're using for stuff like that. The other piece is then too, for us to get blog outlines. I still have a writer that I work with, but we're getting a blog outline for that. For us to get ideas on what we're going to put in our emails. Once again, AI has been great in helping us with that. In terms of titles, descriptions, we're still writing most of those, but the ideas that we're getting from this, and it says, we're like, hey, give us 5 different ideas that cover this. And once again, what we find is we're using the beginning of the second idea, maybe the end of the 4th idea one time. The next time we're using the full one. I mean, we're using pieces and parts of it. The other piece that we have there's 2 other pieces is we've actually used Gemini Gems to help build a podcasting coach for us. So that way we can send in the files and then it comes back. Now we program it for what each podcast is trying to accomplish. It can't just be how many ums and ahs and stuff like that were there. It's actually what that host is trying to accomplish. Additionally, on the other side of that too, is we'll use that when we have guests in order to make sure that we're asking the right questions of guests too. So, I mean, there's all sorts of tools where we have it go out and look at, I mean, someone's information. What are they doing? What is their podcast about? What are some good hard questions that we can ask? And it gives us 2 things. It gives us sometimes some questions that we may not have thought of. But the other thing is it gives us a way to that we can be more consistent in some of the questions that we're asking, that making sure we aren't getting pod creep. We're talking about the things that we should be talking about.
I love it. Yeah, I think the custom GPT realm is really the secret for an executive or a business owner at this point, right? Where you're giving it this, you're basically building a knowledge base that the agents are going to call upon at some point in your career, right? And so the more fastidious you can be about building custom GPTs with very clear souls or directives, I think that's, to me, that's the secret of AI right now in this period.
It's been huge. I mean, we spend a ton of time building these. We spend a ton of time. We've had a couple of podcasts that are a couple of hundred episodes in. So for us, it's been great to dump all those episodes in and be like, okay, here's the goal. Have they achieved that goal? And on the episodes that they have achieved that goal, let's use those to where, and I mean, once again, that this is not, when I say we've dumped those in, we didn't just say, hey, give us good stuff. We've got a lot of work back and forth in figuring out, like, how do we figure out like what episodes we wanted to look at, what episodes we kind of wanted to discount. So there's a lot of massaging still in with the AI. It's not just dump it in, push the button, and out comes magic. But
We all think that's what it's supposed to be, though, right?
oh, I mean, it's so funny when I tell people, I'm like, hey, look, we've built GPTs to do this, this, and this. And like, oh, well, I just tell it to do the same thing. And I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah, that's what I would say. That is the preschool version of what I just told you we're doing.
Correct. Exactly it. Exactly it. And as soon as you see the dash or the rocket, you know that's exactly what they did. They just dumped it in, they copied and pasted, and away they went.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what's interesting about this time is, and I think we're in kind of a little bit of a pause of people having jumped on the shiny thing, not really knowing how to use it, haven't gotten good results. And it feels to me like there's a little bit of a drawback right now saying like, what should I be doing? And how should I be using this? Right.
I feel like there's all the novelty use that we get. I mean, there's always, I mean, when the internet first started out, I mean, how many websites came out that people were like, I'm going to get rich off of this.
Yeah.
And I see so much of the same thing. And when I see other people using a lot of the chat GPTs and Geminis and stuff like that, they're asking it a single question instead of a conversation with it.
Right.
And they're using that one single question output. And I'm like, well, okay, if you want sunshine, puppies, and rainbows, great, that's fine. But if you want a real answer, dive in and really work with it.
At the very least, please give it a role and some context and some links to check on with you, right?
Correct.
Like just do that very basic activity for me.
100%. Yeah, give it something to look at other than just the internet.
Yeah, exactly. I did find that Notebook LLM podcast feature. I find that fascinating and an interesting resource for companies to be able to take white papers or certain technical things and be able to group in a bunch of documents and then produce something audio. What's been your experience with the Notebook podcast?
I mean, it has been interesting because I've tried some of that stuff myself. I'm recently looked at possibility of buying another business. So I dumped in all the accounting, I dumped in the story of the business, I dumped in just every bit of information I could find on this other business. And I said, make me a podcast on why I should buy this business. Yeah. And it's funny because I had the guy and the girl that kind of have this back and forth that's pretty weak.
Yeah.
And as a podcast host, I'm kind of like, oh, is this dry? So it was good. But to me, I'd almost rather have someone dictate the stuff. And I think it is a great start. And I know that what's so funny is this is the worst it's ever going to be ever again. Sure. So I see where it's going, and I see there's all sorts of great possibility for it. And I've dumped stuff in and said, give me a 20-minute podcast that I can listen to while I'm in the vehicle on my way to go teach.
Right.
it gives me good information. Is it something that I'm going to listen to from an entertainment standpoint also? Probably not.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, it's obviously, like you say, it's the worst it's ever going to be. I mean, you've got no control over any of the variability at this point. Like, what I would like to do is say, give me the 3-minute summary podcast of the 20 minutes, right? And then you'll actually get something you can use.
Plus, it's part of the reason too why I love podcasting is, like, occasionally I listen to Prof G Markets. When Scott Galloway, he's an NYU professor. He starts out with a ridiculously offensive joke almost every single time. And he does it because he knows his audience. His audience is 25 to 35-year-old men. These are unoffendable people typically. Yeah. Right. But he realizes that, hey, this is my audience. And if they don't like this, they're not going to like the rest of it. And what I love about it is its personality. It's actually connecting with someone. Whereas that something from Notebook LM is going to come out kind of, for lack of a better term, kind of neutered and just like, here's about as bland as we've got.
Yeah, no, I agree. When there's some controls and some flips, some switches to flips and some, attitudes to change, then that's when it will get more interesting for sure.
100% agree.
Yeah. Well, Josh, I really appreciate your time, and it's been fun talking with you the last 2 times. I hope sometime we can meet and have a cup of coffee or something together.
Definitely.
All your information will be in the show notes, but tell people how they connect with you, just so you get to do that for me.
Simply put, you can look me up on LinkedIn. I am there all of the time, all hours. You'll see posts from me at 3:00 in the morning. That's not a saved for later post. Or go to pedalstomperproductions.com. You can get me there too.
I love it. Well, I really would love to have you on behind the podcast mic, where we can just talk about the nuts and bolts of podcasting. If you're interested in that.
Love to.
Thank you so much for your time, and I'm glad you could join me here in the mobile studios of the Silver Bullet. Hope you have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, it's great to hear from another podcast enthusiast that is saying, take the time to build a strategic podcast, make it available to your staff, make it available to your clients, and make it available to the world on a topic that you're an SME on or that you want to learn about. And stop whatever you're doing right now, this instant. Go to ChatGPT, put in your LinkedIn profile, have a conversation about what you should start your podcast on, and get after it. So I hope you found some value in this conversation today. I also hope that you take some time to experiment with some AI tools, 1 or 2 at a time, and that you find a way to recapture 4 to 5 hours a week of your time, like the rest of us have, and to use that time to continue to upskill, use it to spend with your friends and family, or use it like I am in the wilds of Saskatchewan. Get outside, get away from the screens, and enjoy being alive. This is Emmanuel Rose, Marketing in the Age of AI.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emmanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.